I had only $25 for groceries. Yes, $25. A $25 food voucher. This is 2014, the final year of my undergraduate career at Simon Fraser University. Interestingly, I have a network, a community of people who would readily offer many tokens of kindness to meet my needs. Yet, I held back from reaching out. And you may wonder why. Now, raise your hand if you or someone you know has said they hate the word networking. You're in the right room. Like you were worried about reaching out for support, like you felt that networking was burdensome. Or you've been to a networking event and felt the sweaty palms, the jitters, the nerves, or the sheer discomfort of stepping outside of your comfort zone. Well, that was me. I was worried at the time about reaching out, so I didn't ask for help. I cooked the only rice I had left. After waiting for what seemed like forever, the rice was ready, but something was wrong. I had oversalted the food, and it was inedible. There was nothing left. It was my last meal. I felt the pinch in my stomach as I tossed the rice into the cabbage. The irony, a full bin and an empty stomach. I felt the tears quickly form into large goblets of water. Sitting on my kitchen floor, I said a gentle prayer, asking the Lord for a new perspective, to make something beautiful out of this experience. I asked that He would help me see that I could be a blessing when I had nothing to offer. And He did. It dawned on me that I indeed have something to offer, the gift of connection. It didn't cost money. The only prize was a shift in my perspective from thinking about myself to living for others, to adding value to my network. With the $25, I got some groceries. After my grocery run, a friend calls me, letting me know that she was moving to a new city, to a new place, and asked if I wanted some rice and spices. The perfect offer! I got to host my first dinner. Seeing my friends connect and recount old times reflects what networking feels like. I had just held a networking dinner. Who knew? That moment redefined what networking means to me. Networking reflects how we communicate and converse, not just at formal networking events. In fact, networking is building authentic connections in everyday interactions. Mythbuster, you are a born networker. You network when you don't even realize it. At a soccer game, at a picnic, at a dinner party, at a bridal shower, or even in a classroom, even at this TEDx conference, connecting with people and ideas. We are wired for networking. We do it every day, everywhere, and all the time. So, if we're wired for networking, how might we take the fear out of networking? To build the confidence to connect despite the fears and the nerves. I'm going to make a bold claim. We need a simple playbook with a new script, not on confidence, but on authenticity. As a management consultant, I draw insights from data to help teams create clear business goals, make practical plans, and make better decisions. To do this effectively, I focus on building relationships, meaningful connections with the teams, and helping them forge those connections as well. I set to work this time on a personal project to create a playbook on networking. I reflected on the lessons from my $25 story and from over 300 plus hours hosting spaces for connection. 3 key lessons emerged. 3 practical steps that you can take to be a better networker. Can you guess? The answer is in the word networking. The acronym NET. A need, an expression, and a token or something of value. First, find a need. Like my $25 story, everyone has a need. Don't approach networking like it's a pitch. Approach it like it's a process where your primary purpose is to find out what the other person cares about. Next, be authentic about how you express yourself. It's not just what you offer or what you say that counts. It's how you offer it that matters. And then, offer a token or something of value. Your token is your currency for connection. You may not have $25, or you may have more. I believe that everyone can offer a lot with little. You can offer an introduction, a referral, or even your time. Of all 3 lessons, finding a need, being authentic about how you express yourself, and offering something of value. The hardest, and perhaps the most important of all 3 lessons, is being authentic about how you express yourself. That's because it requires deep self-reflection. What makes networking uncomfortable sometimes is that we assume that we should all act like everybody else and sound super confident. But the best networkers are those who embrace their unique style of networking. You see, in classic consultant fashion, I looked back to the 40-plus dinners I had hosted and over 150 guests who had graced my dinner table. I reflected on the patterns in which they conversed and interacted with strangers and friends. And 5 unique networking styles emerged. 5 unique networking styles were born. First, the connector, the curious, the contrarian, the listener, and the closer. As I take you on this journey of discovering your unique networking style, reflect on these questions. How do I show up when I network and connect with people? Who am I when I network? Starting with the connector. The connector brings people together, connecting people with different ideas across different industries and passions. As a connector, you're likely to host dinners, picnics, outdoor barbecues to bring people together. I once had a friend at one of my dinner parties walk into the room, and he knew nearly half the room. For others I wanted to connect him with, it turned out that they either knew of him or he had just said hello. If you find yourself connecting with people and offering introductions, you might just be a connector. Now, Mythbuster, You don't have to be a social butterfly to be a connector. You can still feel socially anxious and just enjoy connecting with people. Now, you might be listening to the connector and you might wonder, wow, I would love to be that person. But what about being you? Let's explore the curious. The curious networker drives the conversation. They walk into a room with the eager look to get to know you, to ask you questions. If you find yourself intuitively knowing what to say or what questions to ask in a conversation at a networking moment, you might just be a curious networker. You can be curious and quiet. Now, listen to the curious networker. What if that networking interaction could get a little spicy? You might just be a contrarian. The contrarian is sometimes the most misunderstood of all networking styles. That's because you love to cause good controversy. I love that you're laughing, because that was my moment when I thought about the contrarian. See, Priya Parker says that good controversy is generative. It allows us to better understand one another and make better decisions. So if you find yourself debating at parties, questioning and challenging others to consider new points of view, you might just be a contrarian. Now, for the contrarians in the room, you might be debating this point, so I'm going to share something with you. You see, you might probably have heard me say this and say, that's not really networking. It is networking because you're allowing us to connect through differences. You help us connect beyond our echo chambers. Now, not all networking styles like to sell themselves or talk about themselves. You might find yourself in the listener. The listener complements the curious networker by listening in on the conversation without feeling a need to ask questions or say very much. The listener listens in on the conversation. You see, as somebody who loves to host dinners, I'm a connector. As somebody who attends a dinner, I'm a listener. I'm more than happy to walk into a conversation, into a room, go right to the back, and find one person, or maybe two people, to connect with for the entire event. That's because for me, networking is about the quality, not the quantity of interactions. And finally, the closer. See that door? You're probably wondering about it. The closer starts the network when everyone starts leaving. The closer is often mistaken for being MIA, missing in action, because they start to engage towards the end of the conversation. I once had a dinner guest send me a message the next day with a poem that she had written about the lessons from the dinner conversations that we had the day before. I was shocked. Wow, she was listening, and wow, she said so many amazing things. I realized that closers network by being deep in reflection. Silence is also a valid way to network. Now, you've probably heard all 5 styles: the connector, the curious, the contrarian, the listener, and the closer. Now it's time for a test. Raise your hand if you could relate to one or more of these styles. Congratulations! You already have what it takes to network. Well, if you still haven't found yourself yet, try on different styles, experiment, and see what feels authentic to you. You see, with networking, we tend to cast our nets wide to connect with people, when networking is really about going deep discovering what other people care about, being authentic about how you express yourself, and offering a token or something of value, even if you only have $25. So when next you're out networking, at a wedding, at a barbecue, in a classroom, on the SkyTrain, on the boardroom, even during lunch at this TEDx conference, remember that networking is not as terrifying if you've been authentic. Don't hold back on who you are and how you express yourself. Embrace who you are. Start networking today. Thank you.